What is up, everybody? Welcome to the
God.
Dova Kings podcast. As you can see, it's
I'm up here.
Yeah, he's up there. So a little different this week. If you're just joining us, usually we're in the same place, but Ghost couldn't make the drive today, so we found
And we're testing out new things.
we're testing out new things, and this was our quick test of how to make this work. So that his pretty face and white hats can still be on the screen.
Facts.
But
Facts.
this week, we are very, very excited to be talking about the Avengers, specifically Endgame. Give me 1 second. I need to grab my phone charger.
No.
So, if you're listening and have not seen Endgame
You
and
don't wanna
still want
spoil
to
it.
see Endgame, we will be spoiling, first and
All the
foremost.
spoils.
Yeah, so I saw it a couple days after it opened.
Same.
Because you went the same day.
Yeah.
I went to it, I don't usually go to movies by myself, but this was a movie that, I just wanted to see so bad that I had to. I just
Yeah.
showed up and sat for 3 hours, which 3
By
hours is a
yourself.
long movie, man.
I'm not gonna lie. When I was watching the movie, didn't feel like 3 hours.
No, it was,
But afterward, standing up, I was like,
and the
oh
sky's
my
a different
God.
color. You're like, oh, it's nighttime now.
Yeah, fact.
Yeah, it was a girthy length, which I'm trying to find my notes. Here we go. So more like, if you haven't seen Endgame, what are you doing? Truly, it's been 2 weeks now. I feel like we've broken the barrier for spoilers, but also go see it. It's a great movie. I haven't seen. I was worried going to see it because I haven't seen all of the individual movies. I've seen all of the Avengers movies, but I haven't. I've seen all the Iron Mans, and yeah, I haven't. I didn't see Black Panther. I haven't seen all the Thors and such. So I was worried that I wasn't gonna fully understand the storyline.
Yeah.
But it was still okay. I still got through it. It focused enough on. If you've seen Infinity War, then you were caught up pretty much. I was worried that Captain Marvel was there was gonna be something there that I wouldn't understand.
Yeah.
But then I heard that they filmed Captain Marvel after they filmed Avengers, so I was like, okay, so there can't be that much.
Yeah.
Which she wasn't in it all that much.
True. Yeah.
Badass nonetheless, and very
That
attractive.
is very true.
Very, very attractive. So back to the length though. I am a big component of one thing I don't like about movies in the recent being, I can't think of words right now. In today's day and age in movies, they seem to be getting longer. A 2.5 hour movie is becoming more regular, especially for in theaters. And so usually I'm just not into it. So going into the 3 hour movie, I was just really, really worried. Because it's so dang long.
Yeah, I was worried of keeping.
Yeah, I just lost your voice for a second, but no short hair like that. Me? Come on, Bo. Oh no, her haircut. Yeah, I got it. I'm on now. I forgot what I was talking about. Yeah, I like Brie Larson's long hair as well. I think I'm just a long hair component in general.
Yeah.
I prefer that.
I just realized every time I mute and unmute my.
Your mic's cutting in and out a little bit.
Really?
Yeah.
It's because I'm muting it and unmuting it.
Lab said Caleb is struggling hardcore. Yeah, well, he's got people destroying his bathroom floor upstairs.
I don't know how to deal with this. Is it loud?
It's not bad.
Because I can't do anything.
Yeah.
Deal with it.
Willem said I didn't mind it. It made her look comic accurate.
Okay. That's another view. I'm not a big person that I'm not into I didn't read the comics. I didn't get them.
Mm-mm.
So I look at it as a standpoint from I like movies.
Yeah.
And I really love these.
Yeah.
But I don't know how. I'm not a big person that will be oh, they didn't match up with comics. I care about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I never read the comics, and actually I'm kind of happy that Willem's here for a little bit, just because I know he is a comic fan, so he can kind of talk about the accuracy and stuff. But I never have read the comics. I think comics are cool. I just never grew up reading them. But I do, I would prefer to hear that they are comic book accurate. Even though I wasn't a fan, and that's not why I liked them, I became a fan because of the movies. I would much prefer to hear from people and be like, yeah, they got this right. Just because I think it's very... In any movie that you're making that isn't a fully original storyline, I prefer when they put in the effort and the time to really do the research and really continue the storyline and bring that to life. Which is really hard in a lot of movies. If you go to, big books that have become movies like Harry Potter, they stay accurate. Usually they just cut things out because...
there's so much content in this.
Yeah, but, also Avengers is making 3-hour movies now, so they have a little bit more leeway.
They can't cut it. They don't even want to cut things.
LaPointe said, no Harry Potter slander on my timeline, none of it. Dude, I love the books and I love the movies, but that's a common complaint between people.
I could watch all of them in one day.
Yeah, but it's a common complaint between of people. In any book series that becomes movies, you're going to have those complaints that it wasn't 100% accurate. And I just think that it's more they cut things out and they add things, but there's still the base storyline that's accurate.
That's true. Yes, very true.
Which, from what I've heard, Avengers has been good about it. Willem said, or Game of Thrones, where they pass the books in the timeline and the show is slowly falling apart. Hot take. Hot take that the show is slowly falling apart. LaPoinster said, I know the fact that the Battle of Hogwarts is in Book 6 was cut. That tower fight is so dope.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the Battle of... Oh, yes. Okay. Yep, I'm on board now.
Quickly falling apart.
Quickly. And I think that's... Well, the reason that... Tangent here, but we're going to go down it. The reason that Game of Thrones was so popular, in the beginning, was the storyline was so strong. George R. Martin is who wrote it, right?
That is not a question for me.
Okay, that I believe... George something Martin? Yes. Maybe. But, his storylines were so good. He was brilliant, and that's one of the reasons that the show is going so well. So now that I've never seen the show, I'm going to be honest, I don't have HBO, so I will watch it at some point, but, I have to pay for it. I like free TV better. But, so, okay, Willem said yes, so I'm correct on that. I just want to get my facts right. But so then if you go past that storyline, now you have, new writers, and I think in anything, it's hard to switch writers like that. It's because, especially with an elaborate world like that, he has such a vision.
Well, especially writers, even they could try to stick to a storyline, but they'll definitely they look at things in different ways. People perceive differently, and then they pass.
The Tommy Boy said, I'll hook you up with my account bombs. A real one, though.
I think that's the first time he has...
No Pog chant?
Pog? No Pog?
But anyways, Endgame, that's what we're here to talk about. So, I literally came out of the movie and immediately wrote down notes on my phone in my car because I I had to put it down. I had to talk about it. This was a week ago too.
Tommy, you haven't seen Endgame?
But if I haven't seen Endgame, is this where I, as they say, fuck off? If you don't want to be spoiled, then yes. I hate to see you leave the chat, but I don't want it to get ruined for you.
Unless you don't care about spoilers.
Unless you don't care, then stay in. But anyway, so I the whole like 3-hour thing, I had no problem with the length of the movie. I think that they kept it. I think that they did a really good job. I think that it was important. What I will say,
bye, Tommy.
See you, Tommy. Love you too, buddy. But the thing I didn't love is that I felt like the start was kind of slow. It was a good storyline. I liked all the things that they introduced. The whole time travel piece. I thought that was a really cool way. Like I couldn't comprehend going into the movie. I didn't have any assumptions of how they were gonna fix it. Right? Yeah. But so we go into the movie and immediately they like kill Thanos.
Yeah.
Within like 10 minutes. And I'm like, okay, so now I'm a firm believer when it comes to movies and writing scripts and such that you gotta have the main tension within like the first you gotta have, like, you have to build the tension first so then the rest of the movie can be the solution.
Yeah.
And I get that this movie obviously was like taking place right after. And so the tension still grows from Infinity War. Half the population is wiped out.
Yeah.
I just felt like I would have liked a little bit more struggle in the beginning for them to regrow that tension. So that you're not just basing off of the last film's tension. 1 second. Willem said, going back to the original movies, films made me feel like the happiest tourist ever, LOL. And I'm glad that they let us live in the post-snap world. It was a nice, darker turn for the MCU. I agree. I really liked how they went to that dark place. But they killed Thanos right away. And then the second that... I would have liked to live there a little bit longer.
I think it was supposed to show, like, that, like... Their goal was to go and basically kill Thanos and try to fix it. And like, it was, I guess, supposed to show more... The beginning was kind of Thor, I think, because you see his, like, he struggled so much, like, he failed. He didn't kill Thanos when he had the chance. So then, like, they're supposed to be there to find it, and then they kind of all became very... Not all of them, but, like, Thor himself became very selfish to kill Thanos right there. Yeah. So he killed him, and then now, like, they have to, 5 years later, they had to move on with their life.
Yeah.
Like, it was just like, and then it sets up why, like, how Thor, like, is now just gone. Like, he's out in Asgard. Like, he's not in shape. He's anything. Like, it shows his, like, mental struggle, the failure of not killing Thanos when he had the chance.
Yeah, and I mean, Willem said, my guess is that the Phase 4 films will deal with the post-snap more, both the original snap and Tony's. Okay, that's a good prediction. LaPointer said, yes, also, I'm glad it wasn't just a happy ending either. Totally. And towards the end of the film, it really got to what I was really hoping for. Also, Aiden, what's up, my dude? Thanks for the host. If y'all didn't see the new Spider-Man trailer, you should. Dude, new Spider-Man trailer's dope. That was okay, I'll get to that. So, but another thing about, I wanted to live in the darkness a little bit longer just because, like, Ant-Man comes in and he pitches this idea, right?
Yeah.
And Tony Stark tells him it's not possible. Yeah. So now you're dreading. You're like, holy crap, like what are we gonna do? They gotta find another way. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, so that's not the option, this and that. And then literally, like, the next scene is Tony Stark figuring it out. Like, he's talking about this thing that is what he claims the most impossible thing in the world, and yet in a day he figured it out. I kind of wish that because they did like the 5 year later type deal.
Yeah.
I kind of wish that there was another like 5 year later, or like another, if that like time gap happened just a little bit later after he already started studying that idea.
I agree. I think they did it too fast because the Avengers that left Iron Man, they were still testing doing the time travel even without Tony's like right version.
Yeah.
So if that would have went on like 15 to 20 more minutes past, that would have probably made it more plausible, basically. Like, it was not just him saying no and then literally the next night or that night he is messing around with Jarvis and he figures it out.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it's just like it was storyline wise it made another sense, and even maybe not like another 2 years later or something. Willem said, I did enjoy that Tony was against it until he saw that photo of Peter and felt too much guilt. 100%. I think that the contrast between Peter, I mean, there was a clear contrast between, you know, like, he now has a daughter, so he now has direct kin, but he still felt like Peter was that to him. You know what I mean? Like, he lost a child because of him. There was that guilt.
Yeah.
And so even maybe if it wasn't like a 2 year gap or like another, you know, jump in time, even another scene or two with Tony, with his family, because I loved seeing that part of Tony Stark, and that really helped build the struggle. It just maybe another scene.
I was gonna say, I think they cut that short because there was him figuring it out. Then his scene with Morgan when putting her to bed, which Love You 3000 was amazing. Because
oh my god!
If you put the Avenger MCU movies together, 3000 minutes.
Wow!
It's like a little Easter egg in it. But and then he talks to Pepper about doing it, and I think that it was a really quick way of summing up how Tony figured out that they should go back and save Peter. It was kind of like a scapegoat. Like they did it in a very quick manner that they didn't have to worry about.
Yeah, I felt, so that was my only quarrel with the length of the film, is I felt like we were an hour in and nothing had really gone wrong. Like, what? Oh, Willem said it's also a thing that RDJ's kids say to him, so he is truly Tony Stark. That's dope. Yeah, I did hear that was an ad-libbed thing, which is awesome. I just, like, we were an hour in and things just seemed to be going so smoothly that I was like, I was waiting for the conflict. Yeah. And then the conflict came when Thanos figured out that they were time jumping, basically. Which, after that, smooth sailing. I had no quarrels with anything.
Yeah, I think actually the conflict came with Thanos is when they had to go get the time stone.
Yeah.
Which is
that's
really
true.
Cool because I was really into Doctor Strange when that movie came out. I've watched, and I loved when Hulk went to talk to the Ancient One.
That was a great moment.
And literally, she like figures out in her head that, like, first off, he's like, I need the stone. Doctor Strange needs it, and she's like, 5 years in the future. And so I'm curious what happened with that, because then she figures out she did. And so then she gives him the stone, which is against, like, the code of conduct. She's supposed to keep that too.
I'm going to be honest, I went to the bathroom during the transition of that actual stone.
Oh.
Because I had to go so bad, and I was like, I know there's another 2 hours left. I can't not. But I was there for the discussion. I just was not there for the actual handing over of the stone.
Yeah. But then there was I think Lap agrees with me. The coolest part about all of it is when they went back to, like, Captain America when he hops in the theater, because that was a scene from an older one. And instead of just sitting there like he did in the other movies, he goes Hail Hydra.
Mm-hmm.
It was really cool and fun thing that like it was like flashing back.
Yeah, that was a cool moment.
You just like, oh my god, like, and then he fights himself.
The "I can do this all day" line. That's a great line. I want to know what happened. I want to know,
truly
like,
is America's ass,
dude. Truly America's ass. My question is though, like, I saw this on Twitter yesterday. In that whole going back segment and the whole Loki thing, there was some conflict there, and I was interested in it, and I liked that. But so then they went back in time, right, again to get it earlier than when it was in Loki's hands.
Yeah.
So, like, how did that change that moment that they already had changed in the past? Like, did Loki still get it? Because they went back. So they went back to what? No, it was like 2013 that they went to. Oh, Lap said alternate timeline. Willem said, "You know why it was so great because that was America's ass." Okay, continue. So LaPointe said he still did get it. So then, what happens to Loki?
Well, so that's really cool because at the beginning of Infinity War, he has the
the stone.
What's it called? He has the stone when Infinity War starts.
Yes. But that's Ezra, because of Asgard.
Yeah, but that was what he also. Yeah, so I'm trying to think of how he would change.
So yeah, it's just an alternate. You might want to do a mic test on your Discord really quick. I don't know if you have, but it was just at the end of your sentences you just trail off. But yeah, so that's curious. Lap said he has a TV show. He also said I might have to jump in here. Hey, dude, if you're free, come on in. I will say I was slightly confused about a couple storylines, so I'm glad that we have a couple Avengers nuts in here to help me figure this out.
You're nuts.
One already got answered for me, which was how does Cap lift the hammer? Because I know in Age of Ultron, like, there's like a little movement, and Thor is like, oh, like maybe he did it, and then he's like, oh, he's worthy. And I didn't really understand what made somebody worthy because I haven't watched the Thor films. So I think you clarified that to me.
I believe it's just the hammer decides.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that's really what it is.
Well, because you were telling me that, like, Thor lost the power when he became selfish and stuff, and he wasn't pure of heart. And so then that would make sense for Cap. If that's, like, the guideline of what's worthy and stuff, that would make sense for Cap.
Yeah, and then I think it was really cool because Thor had Stormbreaker already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I was like, now he's got the hammer and Stormbreaker. Yeah. And I was like, well, now you got two. You got to give it, like, you got to give that to someone, and then Cap has. Yeah. I was like, this makes the whole scene.
That's so serious. Willem said the big theory with that is that Cap couldn't lift it in Age of Ultron because he wasn't worthy. In Civil War, Cap kept the secret that Bucky killed Tony's parents, but when Cap released that secret, it was the only bad thing he had. So he became worthy due to telling the secret to Tony. Oh.
There's full circles here.
That's cool. That's a cool theory, and I guess it would make sense. Oh, okay. The other storyline that I was slightly confused about was how Tony Stark knew that the stone was there in 1970. Now, I get that it was his father, but are there interactions with him and his father in the Iron Man movies that, like, tell him that he knows? Because I've seen them, but I didn't remember anything.
I've watched Iron Man 1 and 2.
Okay.
But I don't believe in 3 that, because, like, his parents are dead before he became Iron Man.
That's what I thought. So,
and he doesn't know what happened. He just knows they died until Civil War.
So that's just a conversation that has happened, and so now we just have to, Like, we just have to kind of infer that conversation has happened when he was younger. In Iron Man 2, he got that shield case that belonged to his father. My guess is that something in there talked about the Tesseract, and he found out from that. Oh.
Okay.
That's okay. Hot take. I like that. I forgot about that. Like I said, I've watched all the Iron Mans, but not to an extent, as you can hear Gates' frustration with the people upstairs. Dude, they are going to town on your bathroom floor.
Dude, the bathroom is probably 7 feet by like 2 floor.
Wow.
Like, I could rip up this floor.
LOL, imagine if my brain power went to something useful instead of Marvel knowledge. Hey, I'm glad it goes to Marvel knowledge because you're helping me out. So, dude, they are screwing with you, man.
You take it away for the next 3 minutes real quick.
Okay. So, talking about, like, we've talked about, like, how this all came together. I cannot describe how brilliant I think this writing is. The fact that they have put 22 movies together, and I've always found that interesting about, like, a movie and then there's like an Easter egg to another movie in a movie. I think that's awesome, right? So the fact that they've
Movieception.
Yes. Like, I have everybody welcome LaPointster. I think it's brilliant that they were able to bring 22 of them together. Like, because Iron Man came out in 2009, I think. So
2008.
That's 2008. Okay, so that's 11 years that this universe just continues to grow, and it baffles me how much brilliance has to go into that writing of a story like that.
Right. On your point about you were confused as to why he knew to go back to the 70s.
Yes.
So I just looked it up and I saw on a Reddit thread, people said that he knew, like, just throughout all the movies he's in, like, he'll remember some little things his dad tells him.
Oh.
And he remembers his dad telling Tony that he worked with Hank at some point when his mother was due. And since he was born in 1970, he goes there at that time. So that's why.
Okay.
And then he goes, yeah, my wife's expecting, like, in the next couple of weeks, and he's confused because he's not born until 2 months later.
Oh, okay.
So so then they went back because then he knew he could get Pym particles and the Tesseract.
Yeah.
Weird how he knew what floor the Tesseract was on, but I assumed he just, like, knew the SHIELD floor.
Yeah, I also, like,
SHIELD headquarters.
He booked his way through that place real fast.
Have you seen the Spider-Man trailer yet?
Yeah, I saw the Spider-Man trailer.
Oh my god, dude.
Okay, here's one thing that I didn't love. I was actually going to come back to this. Right before, and I get it's all marketing, but literally right before Endgame, they play the Spider-Man trailer. Which is like...
Yeah, but that was the original Spider-Man trailer.
No, it was the new one.
No, it wasn't.
No, I mean, like, not the one where Tony Stark was like, everybody knew that Tony Stark was dead, but you also now...
Yeah, but no, the original one for Far From Home.
Yes, but now you know that Spider-Man is alive. So
but
that takes away the tension.
But they also confirmed...
Well, okay, I know...
Doctor Strange 2, they confirmed Black Panther 2, so you knew they were coming back.
I know they confirmed it, but I still would have liked to, like, not see Spider-Man's face when the movie I'm watching immediately after, Tony Stark is struggling with the fact that Spider-Man is dead.
That's fair.
You know what I mean? Like, I
understand.
I get the whole... And, I mean, wasn't it Tom Holland, like, accidentally spoiled right after Infinity War that there was a next movie?
They started using him to purposefully spoil stuff.
Oh, interesting.
So in an interview before Infinity War, he was like, yeah, so I thought to myself that it was a fake script because I was like, Spider-Man's in space, and then he realized that was the actual script.
Yeah.
But that didn't spoil a ton.
No.
And then...
I guess you could kind of assume that they're going
yeah.
to space because half the Marvel universe is from space.
Is in space, yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So that was like one thing. I mean, I can't wait for that movie. That trailer was insane.
Oh my god, dude! Dude, Mysterio's not going to be a good guy.
No, there's no way.
My hypothesis was he, like, from the original Spider-Man Far From Home trailer, I was like, he's gonna, like, it's gonna seem like he's the bad guy and he's gonna end up being a good guy. And then after he was like, this is Beck, he's from a different Earth. Guarantee you he's not. Guarantee you he's lying.
Yeah.
Something's fuck's gonna happen.
Dude, something's up,
that's
man.
gonna be good.
Yeah, like just look into Jake Gyllenhaal's eyes and you know something's up.
Right.
There's no way that he's playing a good man.
It's so funny to me, like, because now they're like more moving away to new people for Avengers, and it's gonna, like, Spider-Man's obviously gonna be a big component. But I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, there's gonna be a villain where, like, Captain Marvel's getting her ass beat, and then Spider-Man just shoots a web at him.
Yeah.
Like, it's gonna be funny, but it's a superhero movie, so I'm not gonna dwell on it.
Yeah. Willem said I'm gonna feel so bad for Peter because he's gonna see him as the new Tony Stark, like being his big brother figure. Then he's gonna get betrayed.
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
Yeah. Like talking about the newer. Like the next stage of Marvel. So Gates and I were talking about this, how they've bought out like Deadpool and the X-Men.
Yeah, Fox.
Yeah, Fox. So they're merging it together, right?
Yeah.
They weren't, like, in comics and stuff, those two universes weren't the same thing.
No, they were together. Like, so the original X-Men was part of Marvel. Then they tried to make Marvel movies in, like, the 90s, completely flopped because they were horrible.
Yeah.
So then Fox bought, because, like, Marvel was almost bankrupt. The only thing keeping them up with comics. So then Fox bought the X-Men and, like, the Fantastic Four to make movies, and Spider-Man got bought from Sony. So that was the only way they could make money, was selling their characters to different companies. And then now that they're a multi-billion, probably trillion-dollar company, they're buying them all back.
Okay, so because that was my question. When Gates told me that, my question was, like, were they a part of the same universe?
Yep. So they exist in the comics. 100%.
Okay, then
like there's like Wolverine comics with like Iron Man and shit in it.
Okay, because my source was LV. He said that they weren't in the same universe, and so if that was true,
in movie sense, that's true, but not in comics.
Willem just said they're opening the multiverse, then just gonna say the X-Men were a different universe because Fox is bitch, and that needs to be the X-Men tree. LOL. To let the X-Men free. So yeah, I kind of had a quarrel with the fact that in my mind that would be bringing like Batman and Superman into a Marvel movie. I just wouldn't want to see it. Like I feel it, like, because the comics, unless there were like maybe a couple crossover comics, which I mean like a DC versus Marvel comic, I don't know, but they didn't exist in the same like universe of Marvel. So when I heard that they were converging, I was like, okay, unless the comics say so, I'm not okay with this at all, because that just told me that it was like companies looking for money at that point and not staying true to it, which it's film, it's a multi-billion-dollar corporation.
Yeah.
But so now that I hear that they were in the same universe, and they definitely so now they're coming back together, totally fine with that. Now I'm excited.
I still don't, I'm questionable because I saw something that, like, the guy, I don't think it was James Gunn. They were thinking about, like, there's, like, 10,000 characters they still could add into the universe.
Yeah.
10,000?
Yeah, that's what I read a thing on that, yeah.
Huge facts.
But
cite your source.
I don't have the website up. But I don't think they're going to do that, and I think they'll keep certain people, like, separate. Like, I don't think Deadpool will become a main character in Avengers.
Yeah.
He definitely won't become a main character. I could see them having a cameo.
Sure. You're going to see this movement on this screen really quick because I have to go into here and turn.
Like, if there was one scene, say in the next Avengers movie, one scene where, like, Captain Marvel's super serious.
Thanks for tuning in.
And you hear Deadpool in the background, like, all I want.
Yeah.
I don't need him to be this superhero that's in every single movie. I don't even need him to be in like 20 minutes of a big Avengers film. Literally a 10-second scene where he just says something super sarcastic, like,
where he breaks the
"Who
fourth
does
wall
this
a
lady
little
think
bit.
she is?" Yeah.
Yeah.
Like looks at the screen, like that'd be perfect.
Totally.
No, like this is gonna be superhero landing.
Yeah.
Yeah. You see Captain Marvel coming from the sky.
Yeah. No,
That
there's
would be funny.
there's definitely some funny stuff that they could do with it, and I hope they do. I mean,
And like I think they learned, like Infinity War was good.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes like the jokes were a little too forced.
yeah.
Endgame was like perfect.
Yeah.
Other than just Thor as a character was just a little too, like until he, like Thanos came back, then he was serious. But like up until then, I was just a little annoyed because I was like, God, like I want charismatic Thor, not like sorry for himself Thor.
Well, and that's the thing is like
That's me.
It was more like I like the transition they made for Thor being like not Thor, but it was too much like pity me Thor and not like people. You know what I mean?
Well, it was until he talked to his mom, which I don't think in any of the Thor movies you get a good view of his mom.
No.
Yeah, they have a couple conversations, but nothing major.
I love that part.
Character like build point.
Yeah,
and
like sorry.
Switching. Just like him like becoming the Thor that he was, it like that moment, like first off of his mom knowing she's gonna die and accepts death.
Mm-hmm.
And he's trying to tell her, and she's like, I don't care. Like, what happens to me next is supposed to happen.
Yeah,
that was cool.
That moment was phenomenal, and I love that. It's a great message that the mother brings him out of that despair. I just maybe would have liked a more quiet Thor because he can be in that despair and not be like, "Oh, woe is me."
Yeah.
So maybe just that, but also he's the comedic relief. So it's a very fine line you have to draw.
Noob Master 69 was really.
The Tommy Boy says this guest speaker guy sounds like Groot. Fact.
I am Groot.
I am Groot. Huge Vin Diesel
I am
guy.
Steve Rogers.
Tommy's just upset that Nathan McKinnon's scoring a hat-trick tonight.
Oh, facts. Screwed the Sharks.
The best moment.
Go Avs, baby. Skull.
Okay, like I know this is off, but like in Infinity War, my like absolute favorite moment was when Thor came down next to Captain America, and Thor goes, "I see you copied my beard."
Yes.
They like are like haircut, and he's like, "Yep." And then he goes, "Oh, this is my friend Tree." He goes,
"That was funny."
Yeah.
Then he goes, "I am Steve Rogers."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yep, that made me chuckle."
See, that is something.
That's a good joke.
That's something that I love. That I love about all of the writing. You saw it a lot in Civil War too. Like any time where they have pretty much all the Avengers or a good chunk of them together, they always find those times to like stop the battle and just like it's a two-line quick conversation.
You can see them saying that too.
Exactly.
The thing that frustrates me about Game of Thrones the last two seasons is they try to sneak in fan service things that were said way in the past, and sometimes you're like, okay, that was perfect.
Yeah.
And other times you're like, that character just wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
Even if the character they're talking to said it to them all that time ago, they're not just gonna remember that one conversation they had in a garden. Just not. Yeah. That's not how it works.
Yeah. It's like I love those little moments in the battles that they find to put some lines in there, and it shows like it shows the relationship between them better. It's not just a bunch of like superheroes that come together, fight, and then leave. Like these people like have become a unit.
That's funny. That is funny.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite parts about Avengers is the battles.
Oh my god, this one was insane. The fact that it was I do wish Hulk could have fought a little more.
Sure.
But to be fair, he did have one arm, so.
Yeah. I was just waiting for this battle. As far as like the films go, it's so pleasing to me how well like this like choreographed the sequences are.
Yeah,
like it's
insane.
It's really like watching intricate dance almost.
Yeah.
But like there's, a battle here. Somebody throws a thing. Spider-Man gets it to a different dude. He throws that. They like back to back shooting. Like the moment in Infinity War where what's his name? The guy who only had one arm picks up I'm forgetting all the names. Picks up the raccoon and they like spin in a circle
you're
and
talking
shoot.
about Winter Soldier?
Yeah, Winter Soldier. Like I was like
That was sick.
That was sick. I love
or like raccoon standing on Rhodey's shoulder.
Yeah, like when they put all of like their powers together in such like a choreographed way. I love that so much. I think it's because that in itself is very creative. Like you have to really be aware of everybody's like powers and really place them perfectly, and because some are similar and some aren't. So I just love that. I think that's really cool.
And they don't do anything like extremely out of the ordinary. Like you don't see like Mantis fighting back to back with Bucky. Like that's just not going to happen.
No, exactly.
Like it's almost always like pretty like you're like okay those two characters would be like fighting together.
Yeah, it's very realistic.
I love, and then Captain America he goes heads up Queens and throws the Infinity Gauntlet. Oh my god.
So another dude like
writing.
A part that heads up Queens, dude. Literally just like if you miss that line, you're missing something from the movie. You know what I mean? Like there are little lines in there that you have to catch to really be fully indulged.
Like Cap saying Hail Hydra in the thing, because that's a direct scene from literally the exact same formation as Winter Soldier.
Exactly.
And instead of fighting them all, he says Hail Hydra.
Exactly. Especially
like that gave me chills. Like
dude, especially in this movie, like the amount of Easter eggs and the amount of like little lines that they put in, you can watch this movie and be like, oh, that was a good movie. But to really appreciate it, you have to catch all those little things.
Yeah.
And it's like, or the thing at the end when he says to the girl, like, your dad liked cheeseburgers too. Like, just such a line, dude. The writing could not be better.
Right.
Oh, it's so good.
Quick hop in while this freaking thing goes on. That was the cutest moment ever.
Oh my god. I mean, I love Jon Favreau, so I love that man so much. And god, it was so cute. There were two moments in the movie that gave me like legit chills. And I kept it so the first one was I Love You 3000 when he says it back. And that's the big thing that I loved about this film. Oh, wow. Oh, we're popping up Microsoft OneDrive in front of Caleb's face. We cannot have that. Blasphemy. But the acting, they truly have the best actors. And that's one, as much as I quarreled about the, connection between how I would have liked to see a little bit more connection between Tony Stark and his daughter, there is nobody in my mind that could have delivered that line like Robert Downey Jr. did. And all of these actors, like, just the way, the emotion, the entire thing was brilliant. But the way he looked at her and said, I love you 3000, gave me chills. And I kept it together all throughout him dying, all throughout the Peter Parker stuff, although I was sad. But the second he said that, like, a tear just came out of my eye. Could not help it. It was involuntary because it was such good acting. And then the second part that gave me chills was the when Peter Parker has the Infinity Gauntlet and Captain Marvel comes down and he says, I don't know how you're going to like do that. And all of the females say, because they have us. And like, first of all, it was fucking powerful as shit because it was the female saying that.
They go, we're not alone in every single female.
Oh
like you see Mantis walk up and you're like, all right, Mantis.
Yeah, what the hell is Mantis gonna do?
Dude, like
it was a good shot. That was a very good shot.
Like, first of all, it was it was so powerful because it was all the women, but that's what I love about, like, whenever they clump up and all like start their powers, like that gives me chills. Like, it's just a unit.
when Cap straps the broken shield back on, and I literally look at Fonda. I look at Fonda and I go, "This is where they all come back." And he like it just clicked in his mind that this the Hulk snapped them all back. So he like opens his eyes and looks at me, and you just hear Sam go, "Need help there, Cap?" And I'm like,
dude,
"Oh my god!" And then oh my god, you just hear like the drums in the background, and you see Black Panther come through the hole. I was like, dude,
to hear Anthony Mackie's voice,
Bombay.
That was wow, Gato, are you?
Yeah, I got this. But a big thing I was gonna say this, but it was going on while.
Yeah, please do.
Actually, one of the bigger, it wasn't even a bad part, but they didn't follow the comics because, again, the name of his daughter is also the name of like his crazy uncle. Believes he has the right to Stark Industry when his dad dies, when Tony's dad dies. So in the comics, Morgan, the like uncle, is like the bad guy that wants to. Take over Stark Industries, which is really funny because that's part of like the name Morgan is for that. But like that storyline of trying to take over Stark Industry happens in Iron Man 1.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, they just needed to fit in the comic book name of Morgan into the universe.
Definitely. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't catch that. I didn't know.
It is. I literally saw this, like looking into stuff.
Absolutely. Dude, another moment I loved, and I haven't seen Doctor Strange, but I love
great movie.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Benedict Cumberbatch, greatest actor of our era currently.
Fact. But when
Leo passed the torch.
True. when Tony Stark says, Doc, I gotta know, like, is this the one? And then they go through the battle, and he looks at Tony Stark and just gives him one finger. I was like, I cannot right now.
Dude, be in Doctor Strange's mind, right? Because you've experienced that, like, at least 1,000 times you've experienced where you've come back and had that battle.
Yeah.
Imagine just, like, sitting there and you're let's say the Wasp does something in one of the outcomes, and she does that in this one, and you're like, you lost. Like, right at the beginning, you're just like, fuck, it's over. That's so crazy. I wish instead of saying 1, I wish he said, like, 10. So there was so then you could logically, convince yourself, you're like, okay, like, maybe this played out differently than some other ones. Like, because 1, you're just like, maybe he just saw the first one and then came back.
Well,
but
correct me if I'm wrong. In Infinity War, when he said, how many do we win, didn't he say 2?
No, he says 1.
Why did I have the number 2 in my head? I don't know. But yeah, dude, oh my gosh. It's the non-verbal things like that are just they're so good. What was my last note, and then I just want to say it before I forget. Another thing that the Marvel Universe has done brilliantly, and this is something that if you don't, you only know if you really understand production of films. In a lot of action movies specifically, so what you do is you do a scene or whatever, but then there are times where you record the audio after, just you sitting there with the mic, and then they dub that in because either you've turned around or you're walking away, so obviously the mic's not getting it enough, so they dub it in to make sure you know. And it happens a lot in action because you're out of breath or something, and so they have to dub in the line in post. And there are quite a few movies that when somebody turns around to walk away, you can hear the difference. You can hear the dubbed in line if you're listening for it. Or if, it's an over-the-shoulder shot so you don't see the mouth move, you can hear a slight difference in the dubbed in line. And I have not in my life, or I should say this, this movie and Infinity War as well, I didn't pay attention to it post or pre those movies because I didn't really understand the production side as well as I do now. There was none of that. For one of the biggest action movies, the moment where Peter gets is like talking, and you can see his mouth move, and then they get taken away on like the Pegasus or whatever that animal was, and like it trails off. Perfect. There were a lot of moments like that. There was no separation, and there was no change in the post adding, and it's just little things like that I think like I appreciate so much as movie makers. They put so much thought into this.
Every single one of Spider-Man's lines was that pre-recorded.
Yeah,
without even someone to talk to. Like his script was completely blacked out.
Yep.
So his scene with Tony is all recorded before, and then they have him go up and do that.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Well, first of all, it pays a massive amount of respect to Tom Holland, because I mean, like, I'll say this: when I'm supposed to act with a partner and the partner's not there, it definitely comes out a little bit different.
Yeah.
Because, especially like in our training, we were taught a lot to take acting as a reaction. So like if I say something to you and then they react in a way, that's going to change my line. So for Tom Holland to have mapped out these conversations without having any reaction or without having, like the full story is insane. Like it like I said, I don't think that there's a better. I don't know if I would recast anybody in that movie.
That's my Spider-Man.
It's gotta be, dude. I actually see a lot of people on Twitter think Tobey Maguire.
People always, just because it's nostalgic.
Yeah.
It's like people would like old video games just in general.
Yeah, and then Andrew Garfield just doesn't exist.
Fonda just now has gotten to the point where he accepts that Tom Holland's better than Andrew Garfield because he likes the way the mentorship role played out, but he still thinks Andrew Garfield's the best Spider-Man, and I'm like, he's fine, he's funny, but he's not a good Peter Parker. No way in hell is he a nerd. Like,
yeah,
you just see Andrew Garfield and you're like, dude, that guy's not a nerd. Like, he pulls bitches.
Facts though. Facts. But I mean, I love Andrew Garfield. Like, I think he's a brilliant actor. Him in Hacksaw Ridge is phenomenal. But I think it was actually good that he played Spider-Man, because I think going from Tobey Maguire to Tom Holland, much different.
Right.
But what Andrew Garfield kind of served
he set the bar lower.
Well, also his
like,
purpose
literally.
was he was a more realistic teenager than Tobey Maguire, or a young guy. You know what I mean? So it was like Andrew Garfield was the nice transition of bringing down that age to where Tom Holland now is like a young Peter Parker. Andrew Garfield could not have played the apprentice role like Tom Holland did, because I think, like you said, he was still like, he wasn't a nerd. He was still very much like an independent Spider-Man. It was a good linear for me to get it to where we are now. But Gates says he agrees, but he can't talk because there are people destroying his bathroom. It's really a shame, Gates. I'm sorry. What was I gonna say? Oh, one of my favorite lines. Once again, dude, like catching these little lines. My mind was blown when they were talking about the whole time travel thing, because time travel is something that I've never been able to wrap my head around. And when I'm not gonna get the exact line correct, but when the Hulk was like, when you go into the present, like when you go into the past, that becomes your future.
That becomes your future.
That line, I was like, what just happened?
Right.
Like, that actually, I was sitting there in the theater, I was like, oh shit, you're right. Like, that's cool. I also loved the mental image that, like Caleb was talking about, the conversation between Hulk and the woman from Doctor Strange.
The intro one.
Yeah, the actual physical image of showing how, like, it splits off, and then the Hulk saying, but if we return them to exactly where they were, we can get the timeline back. as a visual learner, that made so much more sense in my brain than when I heard them talking about it. Just because science isn't my thing.
Right. The only problem that I found with it is Hulk's talking about like you don't want to alter the past, even like you're guaranteed to interact with some people.
Yeah.
From that thing. So you're gonna alter it a little bit.
Yeah.
But just don't have anything like big happen. Don't like run into yourself knowing it's yourself, shit like that.
Yeah.
And then he gets to talking to the Ancient One, and then she starts talking about she doesn't even mention like running into people in the past alters it. She's just talking about the stones.
Mm-hmm.
So then you kind of have a thought process in your head of two different ways timelines can get messed up.
Yeah.
But
well,
I don't want to. I'm not going to dwell on it. The entire movie, they're basically telling you don't even think about it. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Don't care. Who gives a shit? Like, just move on.
Well, I'll say that like this movie was the most realistic time travel that I've seen in a movie.
Right.
Like a lot of other movies, you can sit back and be like, yo, that's not possible. Like, there's no way, right? Like, but I feel like this movie, they did a very good job of it. Just maybe it's just the universe like that this has built, but this just seemed realistic to me. Like, these people could go back in time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they could make it possible.
Yeah. The only other thing that's gonna make me mad going further on is like you see in the Spider-Man trailer, all of his friends are the same age.
Yeah.
So, like, realistically, do you think like all 10 of that group of kids didn't like all 10 of them got snapped, so they all come back the same age? Like, at least 3 of those kids probably lived through those 5 years.
Interesting.
So I don't know. We'll see. But like, because like everyone goes back to school as if like, oh, like it's back to normal. But there's a good chance half of that class is 5 years older.
Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah, like
that kind of bugged me a little bit.
And you can get away with it, but yeah, like his core
with adults,
friends,
it's not a big deal. But he's a high schooler.
Yeah, that changes a lot. And his core friends is what, like 4 people, right? That like you would recognize their face. Like odds are that not all 4 of them were zapped.
Exactly.
I didn't even think about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like they should be.
So I don't know. I think just from like the next like 3 or 4 movies, like at the beginning of every movie, like they'll literally like put to rest like that stuff, like the stuff that'll make you think. But then they'll dwell on the fact like, oh, Tony's gone. Oh, like Captain Marvel's not here to protect us. We got to do stuff. I do think Nick Fury is going to get a lot more involvement soon here though, because he basically lost half his team.
Yeah. So there's
more people now, but now he has to like find a face.
So Nick Fury's the one that like, because like I said, I'm not 100% on the whole timeline.
So yeah, so he started the Avenger Initiative.
Okay. So
his first recruit was Iron Man. Because he was like, now that you have this, you're gonna incite people to come out, so in Captain Marvel, he is just like a deputive.
Yep.
Or he's just like a director at SHIELD or something, just like a normal like foot soldier. And then he's like him and Captain Marvel run into each other, and she's showing him all of the dangers out in space. So he's thinking to himself like, we're screwed if they come down here.
Yeah.
So the entire time he's trying to figure out defenses. That's why like they do so much with the Tesseract, because they're trying to figure out a way to like harness power to protect themselves. And then Iron Man comes in, he recruits him. Iron Man goes and recruits Hulk, kinda. He recruits a general to become like the head of the team. And then they find Thor's hammer, and then once they find Thor, they're like, okay, now we have a team that can defend. Sure. We just have to convince them to like be devoted here.
Yeah.
And then Captain America comes back, which is big too.
Okay. So. That makes sense. Yeah, that's an interesting, like, there definitely will be things about this universe that they're gonna have to lay to rest. Like, Tony Stark dying isn't one of them, but like you said, that whole 5-year gap is something that they're probably gonna just have to stop alluding to, because otherwise storylines, you're gonna have to continue that, and I feel like that makes it much harder. And bringing in a whole nother like group of superheroes into a universe, like, where does that happen?
Right. Luckily, with the introduction of Captain Marvel, things are going to get a lot more cosmic.
Yeah.
So, because did you watch Guardians 2?
Yes.
So they teased Adam Warlock, who's a really big character in the comics.
Oh, okay.
He actually wields the Infinity Gauntlet in like the Infinity War comic. So people thought he might come. So he'll probably be the villain in Guardians 3, but then somehow they'll change him or something.
That makes sense.
I feel like this phase is going to be a lot of villains, but like anti-heroes. So they'll come and help when things are like screwed up, but they're still going to be villains to like maybe Mysterio like hates Spider-Man, so him and Spider-Man are constantly like going at it with each other.
Oh.
But then say like a Galactus comes in and they're like, okay, we have to team up now.
Oh, Galactus.
Which I think would be sick. Just the way that would work, like having like enemies having to put it like aside would be cool.
Yeah, I mean, a lot more anti-heroes. That's interesting.
Yeah, I'm also the only thing I'm upset about with with Endgame is like we never really got closure about Civil War, about like Cap and Tony not trusting each other. I don't know. Yeah, just me though.
There was
because that was the movie that like got me into all this. So.
Yeah, there was a little bit. There was like one interaction.
Right.
And it was when they were going.
Going to kill Thanos. Yeah.
Yeah, it was during their.
Which he was just messed up, and then basically like the closure was supposed to be him saying, "Do you trust me?" And Cap says, "I do," and I'm like, "All right, like I understand you're trying to like do that, but like." You could have a real conversation.
Yeah, I think that they were just hoping that because they were paired up together in the movie that you would eventually be like, oh, well, obviously they trusted each other. You know what I mean?
Right.
Without actually directly dealing with the situation.
Yeah.
Going back on the anti-hero thing, that actually could make a lot of sense coming from the X-Men universe because a lot of them are looked at as villains. Like, they very much are not like Tony Stark, who everybody's like, oh, save the world. They're more of like they help people, but people still hate them. Like, it's much more. So that world coming in, that could actually be huge.
Yeah.
That could be a big prediction.
That'd be nuts.
Gates, now that
you
can talk again, I have to use the bathroom, so I'll be back.
Huge.
All right, wait. Then we can do perfectly. I wanted to talk about how much money that Avengers Endgame has grossed already.
Did it eclipse Avatar yet?
It has not.
How close is that?
So
I know it hit it hit 2 billion in 11 days, which Infinity War took 40.
Yeah. So Avatar grossed 2.8 million before inflation, while it grossed 3.3 after adjusting inflation.
Okay.
Endgame has already grossed 2.2 billion.
Yeah, that's got to pass Avatar. I still don't understand how Avatar got that much.
So it really should. It will definitely probably pass it. Well, Avatar was a movie, like, honestly, it's the first ever.
That was like the first ever like big long blockbuster that actually like fulfilled what it was supposed to be.
Yeah, exactly. Most pre-sale tickets sold for AMC theaters in its 99-year history for this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. In China, this is the biggest opening day.
Yep.
Biggest opening weekend of all time in the United States, making $356 million.
Crazy. So cool.
Which, it's so funny. I find this hilarious because Disney's initial estimate was $350 million.
And it was 351?
56. And I was like, Jesus Christ.
That's so sick.
It also broke the record for the biggest box office in Thursday previews with $60 million.
Right.
And the biggest domestic opening day ever for $157.
Yeah. This kind of annoyed me with this release too. Is like, so it says the movie releases Friday. Obviously, they're gonna have some just Endgame and any movie in general nowadays too. So it releases Friday. So obviously, there's gonna be some showing Thursdays.
Yep.
But I think it should have to be like 9 p.m. or later. Like there was showings on Thursday at like 4 p.m. I'm like, that's just a Thursday release at this point.
Whatever happened to like going to the midnight premiere?
It should be like 10 or later. Like it should be It should be midnight for East Coast, 11 for West Coast or for Central, 10 Mountain, 9 Pacific. Like it should literally be flat out. Everyone has the same exact like first showing.
Yeah. Well, I remember like as a kid, I could never really go to premieres because they were all at like midnight. So I would have to see it the next day. And like that was the big thing was people would like be in line, everybody's tired, it's late, but like it's the midnight premiere, so you gotta be there.
I went to Star Wars 7 it was like 10:45.
Yeah. I went.
No, it was like 11:30, and I went with like a couple. I went with like Billy and Beals and those guys, and like we got home at like 2 a.m. and we were like texting about it. We're like, oh my god, bro, like,
yeah,
that was so fun to experience that. Like the crowd was cheering, like it was so fun. I didn't get a cheering crowd, which is sad. I like that.
I went to the second Harry Potter, the seventh Deathly Hallows Part 2 at like 11:45, and then I also went to the Dark Knight Rises at midnight.
Right.
And yeah, like first of all, I love that environment, dude. Like,
dude, people complain about clapping, and I'm like, I wish like when you reserved a seat, like it would be like theater, like for like loud audience, and then some would be like for quiet, because then like, because if you had 2 showings at 7 and one was for people who didn't want to cheer and one was for people who did want to cheer, it would make the experience better for both parties.
I mean, I clearly remember because. I mean, it's exactly what we're doing right now. Like, we're talking about a movie that we both experienced, and you want to experience that with other people. Like, I remember
and you want to experience it the same way.
Yeah, I remember 2 moments. One was in the Deathly Hallows Part 2, when Mrs. Weasley says, "Not my daughter, you bitch."
Oh my god, that
like
is so.
The entire theater was like, "Fuck yeah!" Like, just because, and it didn't matter. There was no important dialogue after that. We're all like just hooting and hollering in the theater, like losing our brains. And then the second one was in the Dark Knight Rises when Joseph Gordon-Levitt, when the woman says, "Why don't you use your real name? I like Robin." Like the entire theater explodes.
I hate that they added that because nothing ever came about it.
Dude, I know. Like, I love that they added it because it was like a cool little homage thing, but I wish that then there was a Robin thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But and it's one thing to experience like watching Endgame alone. There were these little things that like I was in my brain. I was like, holy shit, and it just blew up. But I wish I could like turn to the person next to me and be like, "Can you fucking believe that?" Like, I wish that there was that there.
But yeah, like, and then the thing about it nowadays is writers expect some of that.
Yeah.
So some like when Cap says Avengers assemble, there's no meaningful dialogue for the next like 30 seconds at least. So if you're cheering, you're not missing anything. Some people do cheer at really dumb stuff, like just when everyone comes back, yeah, go ahead, cheer. Like there's some meaningful dialogue, but it's more of like a callback rather than an actual like plot.
Yeah.
Like plot point. But like some people will just cheer like when they wait for like 2 years of the and then just character they like. Like when the new Star Wars comes out, like the first time Rey's on screen, people might cheer. Which is that you're just like, all right, let's calm down.
Well, it's kind of like, you know, in like live theater. Like if first of all, like in a comedy, there's going to be a line, and then they take a moment to think because they know there's going to be laughs, and they have to wait for that to die down to say it. Or after a song in live theater, everybody claps. So, like, you have to give it a second. There's that little transition, and like you said, you're starting to see that more in film writing.
Right.
You see it in sitcoms all the time now with laugh tracks.
Yeah.
You have to pause for that, which a lot of people
laugh tracks.
Yeah, like you don't like a lot of people don't like laugh tracks, or like a live audience laughing. So, you know, it depends. But I'm totally fine with clapping in a theater.
Right.
That's the point of these movies.
Right. Well, for me too, like the movies you're going to be clapping at are almost always conclusions. So even if they do have a plot, the plot's not driving continuously.
No.
Like you don't watch like. You go back and watch Iron Man 1, the very first time, there's no real reason to, like, other than when he says, "I am Iron Man," maybe you clap there. Yeah. But, like, there's no big thing where you're like, oh my god, like, holy crap, I have to clap. But, like, when you watch Infinity War and Thor comes down, kills a ton of things, and then says, "Bring me Thanos," and he's got Stormbreaker right before he almost died from the star, you're like, holy shit. Like, you start clapping, and nothing important is said for a minute.
Yeah. Well, and those movies that you clap at, like you said, are conclusions, but it's also like trilogies or like this 22 fucking movies that there's now a community involved with this. It's,
like deathly, like you're not gonna cheer in Chamber of Secrets when Hermione says swish and flick, like but you are gonna cheer in Deathly Hallows when Voldemort dies.
Or you're not gonna go to like a standalone movie and all of a sudden clap at a line because there's no in a standalone movie there's no like community feeling where you wanna. There's no point.
Right.
So I have no problem with clapping. Especially in that type of movie. Don't go to like fucking The Secret Life of Pets 2 and start hooting and hollering in the middle of it. That's unnecessary.
What do you mean?
You know what, Gates?
So after I watched this movie for the first time, I kind of sat down and thought like I was like after it hit me that everything just happened and I kind of comprehended everything. I kind of realized that this isn't even like really a movie. It's way more an experience. Mm-hmm. It is 100% like a finale. It's not like Infinity War was a movie. You can sit down from start to finish, watch Infinity War. Everything's explained. The plot's better.
Yeah.
The villain's probably better. But like, this movie is so good if you actually pay attention. So there's gonna be people who go to that movie who don't watch any MCU movies, and they're like, that wasn't that good. But like, you have to understand every single callback that's constantly happening. Mm-hmm. So
that's true.
It just like hit me that I was like, as a movie, this is probably like an 8. Like, it's a good, entertaining movie. It's funny. It has a big battle that's like enjoyable to watch. Mm-hmm. But as like an experience, like it's one of a lifetime.
One, I think that adds, the whole length thing. Like
that too, yeah.
Like I said, I was like, dude, for a movie that's long. But for this, like you said, it was more than a movie.
Because they definitely, like, for the first hour and a half, like, you're in there, you're like, okay, this is a movie. But then once you get to the point where they get all the stones, they do this, when they do the snap and Ant-Man says, I think it works, and then you just see Thanos' ship, and you're like, oh my god. Yeah. And then just chaos. Like, oh, that was so sweet.
Dude, also, go for it.
Oh my god. I just, like, watching the trailer for the movie when like you just see like the battleground, never would I have thought at all that was on Earth. I thought 100% that was gonna be on a different planet.
Yeah.
Because when in the commercial when you see Cap strap his shield, it's just dark, like it's dirt and the sky's black.
Interesting.
I just didn't even come to my mind. I was like, that's not on Earth. Yeah. Because like in Infinity War, the battle's in Wakanda, super bright, green grass, big city in the background. This is just right where the Avengers Studios is. Yeah. And it's just broken down, so.
That's really interesting. I wouldn't, I guess, I didn't see the picture or anything, but...
You sound I'm hearing up here.
Oh, I didn't hear it.
No, it's not loud. It's like a saw. Like...
Go upstairs
and... pencil sharpener.
Tell them you're fucking busy. Are they sharpening pencils upstairs? How dare they? They didn't ask? That was not in the blueprint? We cannot have that.
So you were gone when we were talking about this, and I talked more about the grossing of this movie. Mm-hmm. So, it was the fastest movie to reach $2 billion. Mm-hmm. It hit it in just 11 days.
Shit.
Insane, bro. $2 billion in 11 days.
It also hit $1 billion in just 5 days, which is the fastest movie, I guess.
Yeah.
Worldwide, in the first weekend, it hit 1.2 billion. First weekend in the worldwide, which is the only movie to ever do that, to gross $1 billion worldwide.
China was digging this movie.
Huge fans.
China almost matched the U.S.'s sales after the weekend.
Really?
It was insane.
That's crazy.
Funny thing is, the most selling movie box office ever in Europe was Fast and Furious 8.
I'm not surprised.
Furious 8.
Probably because it had Jason Statham in it.
I was gonna say,
also,
literally,
Also, that movie probably shoots the most global.
True.
You know what I mean?
They have a lot.
They were they're in so many cities.
Literally,
that there's
Russia,
that's true.
Cuba, there's hype America. There's hype about a cast being in
I remember
in your
those
country
good old
shooting.
days. I remember like when Transformers was still huge,
Yeah.
and they were like, "Oh my God, they're shooting in Chicago," and like literally, I read like articles every day about the battle that was coming in Chicago.
Yeah.
I thought it was so sick.
Yeah. So I mean, that's just a guess, but
Yeah.
It's so Endgame made 575 in China so far, which isn't even the biggest movie to sell in China. Which their biggest movie is Wolf Warrior 2.
Fact.
At
Huge
854 million. So they don't even think it's gonna pass that movie. So they pretty much think that China's hit its movie sales of.
You said
Game over there. It's peaked.
You said Wolf Warrior 2?
Yep.
Love that movie. So good.
Dude, I gotta watch that
Never watched
shit.
it. I've never watched it.
Is that in English or is that a Chinese film?
I bet you it's a Chinese movie.
I have no idea.
Apparently, so I was watching this interview with Paul Rudd, and he like went over to Hong Kong to do like a Jackie Chan movie where he played an American, like cop, and there was a bunch of like Chinese, like it was all Chinese except for Paul Rudd.
That's so cool.
It was like very early in his career. It was
That's
so
exactly what
funny.
I'd assume Paul Rudd to be in a Chinese movie about.
Dude, right? Though?
Like and like he's speaking in Chinese too.
And he says a line in I think Mandarin, and it's just like it's a funny interview, dude. It's a good time. But Paul Rudd, dude, that him being introduced into this universe was brilliant. I haven't seen
people hated Ant-Man just off the.
Yeah.
They were like he's not even serious, and I go like, why do you have to be serious? Like, there's Thor, Captain America, Iron Man,
and yet people love Deadpool, and he's
movies.
never said a serious thing in his life.
Yeah, it's just he can swear, so people think it's funnier. Ant-Man can't swear.
Like looking at the camera, talking, like
Ant-Man is brilliantly done, or not Ant-Man. I mean, Ant-Man's got like pretty well done too, but Deadpool's probably one of the best. Well, like best done superheroes.
Yeah, I mean,
Ryan Reynolds is
brilliant.
Whoa!
Don't
you dare talk negatively about my Pikachu.
Yo, huge Pikachu pet detective. Can we talk about Sonic for a second?
They're fixing him.
Oh,
him.
Are they fixing him?
Yeah, they are. They're redoing it.
They have to.
Yeah.
But also Jim Carrey, shout out to Dr. Egg.
someone someone went on Photoshop and made a Sonic and like tweeted
better.
out and goes, yeah, it was better. And then some guy goes, imagine a kid spending 10 minutes and making on Photoshop and making a better Sonic than you did for an entire movie.
You know what Sonic looked like? This is 100% fact. Sonic looked like Mike Myers in the Cat in the Hat movie.
Yes, he did.
Fact.
100%.
It looked like a man in a furry costume.
Right.
Yeah. Facts.
You're telling me that we have Pikachu Pet Detective and you can't animate a Sonic? Like,
nope.
What?
Right.
Just baffling.
The Pikachu looks perfect.
Dude.
Yeah.
The Charizard?
Not a fan?
I'm just so upset that the first Pokemon live action movie they do is Pokemon Detective Pikachu. Like, killing myself, dude. Like, God, they could have made like such a good Ash Ketchum movie. Oh my, they could literally just rob me blind. Like they could charge $100 for an Ash Ketchum movie, and I would literally be there in a beat.
Okay, so question.
Then they throw out Detective Pikachu, which only released in China or Japan.
Question: Who would you cast as Ash Ketchum right now?
Who would I cast as Ash Ketchum? Can I say Tom Holland? No, I'm just kidding.
You could.
But,
I could, but no, I'd go. Okay, so I would do like a teenage Ash Ketchum.
Sure, I think you should.
You know who actually would have been a really good one?
Mm-hmm.
But like you would have had to do this way back when you didn't have the technology. But like if you did Zac Efron before, like when he was like 13 or 12, he could have been perfect.
Oh.
Because he kind of had like the hair flip, like all that. But
I'm just imagining.
He also plays that role well.
When he turns his hat backwards, like I'm trying to imagine some face like when that goes down.
100% I can imagine.
See, that's the problem. Is Ash Ketchum's like just cheesy in general, and like I mean, it's an anime / cartoon. Like
Yeah.
they're gonna
Well,
be cheesy. But God, like if you do a live action, like he would look. Think how gay you would look. Like just a 13-year-old, like getting super serious and flipping your hat around, and like that means like you're in like insane mode. Like,
But honestly, dude, like you nailed it with a Zac Efron pre. Like even
just when he was younger. Yeah.
even right at the same time as the first High School Musical movie, you
Right.
could have
If you
pulled
just
it off.
made like and then you could just have like Missy would be older and like Brock too.
We'll see. Okay,
I'm trying
so
now. I'm really trying to dig deep and think of like.
I'm trying to think, but I don't know any teenage actors.
I mean, the only
I'm trying to think of movies.
the only teenage actor I know, and I don't even know if he's still a teenager, is that Timothy Chalamet guy, but I wouldn't cast him. Oh God, who? I'm also trying to think of actors that you could do when they were younger.
Right. That's also what I'm trying to do.
Oh gosh, one will pop into my head later, but that's gonna be if you're watching this on YouTube. Put who you would cast in a Ash Ketchum live action.
Ooh.
Who would you cast as Ash
All right.
Ketchum?
So, but I would be curious about this. So,
I know who.
story-
Dude, can I just say this really quick?
yeah.
The Professor, Gary Oldman. Fact.
Mr. Oak.
Yes, Mr. Oak. Gary Oldman. Nobody else is playing that role. Continue.
No, what I was gonna say is I'd be curious if they kept, because like the storyline of Pokemon, none of it's actually real.
Mm-hmm.
That it's a mom telling a kid a story constantly.
What?
Yeah, no, it's like an actual like it's one of those like it's a theory, but it's true. Like
No. Nope. Don't believe it.
I don't believe
believe
it
it.
either.
it is.
Nope,
It's
I
a
do not
theory,
believe
but
it.
it's true.
No, there's like scenes in Pokemon where there's a mom and a daughter walking in like the same ones in multiple different like scenes, walking behind the like Ash and all them, like the same one. And the theory is that the mom is telling the daughter like this long like story.
Nope. Discredited. I refuse to believe that. You just that would ruin my childhood if
Please
that became
look it
true.
up.
So no. Continue though.
That would ruin my childhood.
100%.
I
I've
would.
been living a lie my entire
I
life.
also would be devastated if that were true. Another person who could maybe pull it off, but it would have to be like a sassier Ash Ketchum, is a
Billy
young
is.
Josh Hutcherson.
Yeah, he came into mind too. That ass.
I don't like the stuff he's doing nowadays.
I haven't seen him
he
since
doing?
Mockingjay. So.
I haven't seen him since Kicking and Screaming, but
Did you never watch any of the Hunger Games
no,
movies?
I'm kidding. I've seen him in a
Okay,
ton
I
of
was gonna
stuff
say.
since then.
Yo, low key, the Will Ferrell's son in Kicking and Screaming.
I thought about that too.
Goldmine.
Yeah, the blonde kid.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, you'd have to dye his hair black, but wait, no. Yeah. Still. Interesting. All right, back to the MCU.
Yes, please. But I do want to hear Gates is intently googling this right now. Gates, is that the hat
Because-
I wore to? Is that a new hat?
Yeah.
Is that a
it's
Travis
it's
something?
For all you tuning in, tune into Double Palm's YouTube video that he had of the pre disc golf whatever.
Yes, disc golf trailer. How'd you guys like that?
I actually loved it.
So intense. I was like, oh my god.
I was going through it last night. I'm like, I don't have enough video to make like
Make a full video.
And then I
Yeah.
started, and then I thought about it. I was like, "Oh, we're doing this." The music
would-
was
so, like-
on my editing app. I was like, "Beautiful,
Dude, that was perfect. You should do that like before we ever do disc golf videos, just have those as like who's in the video.
Yeah,
That was perfect. And then you just don't have to have like the extra dramatic stuff at the end. But I love that. That was actually very good.
I was gonna go one of two ways with it, and it was either dramatic or like the intros were gonna be like a Full House type situation, with like
that'd
some
be funny.
cheery music in it. But
Yeah.
it was just I was doing it at 1:30,
that.
so it was easier to do the full intense
dramatic,
and not
yeah.
mess with it. But yeah, it was. And I got the timestamps out of the bottom right of the videos since it says we were playing January 1st of 2000.
I know. I saw that and I was like, whoa, we're back in.
Dude, I'm so. And now James Gunn's back for Guardians 3. If Thor has to be in that movie at least to an extent. I know he's not going to be that involved, but I like that they kept him around because he's a good cameo.
Yeah.
Especially if there's like a Colossus type villain where it's like it's not going to be easy to defeat. You need someone like Thor that's that strong, as well as Captain Marvel. I would love to see him and Captain Marvel fight at one too.
Ooh, that'd be dope.
I could really see some like, kind of like Civil War, where like Avengers fight more often.
Yeah. Well, especially if that whole anti-hero thing comes into play too.
Right.
More tension.
Well, like imagine like say the Guardians of the Galaxy get a distress call.
Mm-hmm.
They go to look at it, and it was the population calling about Captain Marvel, and she's trying to wipe them out because she's trying to protect the Skrulls.
Yeah.
And like, so then they're at a position where they're like, okay, do we actually have to fight her, or do we let this happen before the Guardians of the Galaxy?
Moral ground.
Right. It could get real. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully I hope there is more cosmic characters because you can do a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because
and they're good. They're good at writing them in.
Yeah.
I'm curious how Guardians 3 is going to do it, because obviously it's definitely going to start off with them searching for Gamora, because that's,
100%.
Gotta be.
That's going to happen.
Which also, Tony snapped them away, and she was fighting with them, and she's just gone the next second.
Well, no,
What?
because they talked, and then then she like knees Peter.
Yeah, I know, but no, but then Spider-Man goes, "How are you gonna get there?" to Captain Marvel, and she's in that group of girls.
Yeah.
And then 5 minutes later, Tony gets the gauntlet and snaps, and now Gamora's just disappeared
Well, because that's the Gamora from
the future or from the past.
From the past.
Right, from 2014. But I don't think she got snapped away because they wouldn't bring her to help save Nebula and stop Thanos.
And
just
then
have her
kill her
snap.
off again.
Yeah.
But they didn't. Well, nobody other than Nebula brought her to defeat Thanos. Thanos brought her to defeat the Avengers.
Well, yeah,
But
but
then-
she turned
but
on
then
him because Nebula knew.
convinced
Yeah.
Gamora
Yeah,
to
but didn't
flip
they?
side.
Didn't it?
They killed the past Nebula. She was trying to help Thanos.
Yes.
So then the future Nebula and the past Gamora are now friends.
Yeah, but then wouldn't they have killed the past Gamora?
No. She
Well,
was
so the
fighting
hope-
with them.
The hope is that Iron Man, when he snapped, didn't kill her.
Yeah.
The snap didn't kill her. The snap just killed Thanos.
The snap just killed enemies to them in Thanos' army, and she wasn't an enemy anymore.
Because
she
didn't
proved she was an ally.
didn't Tony Stark say all we want to do is bring back. We don't want to change anything. All we want to do is bring back the people.
Well, that's what he said to Hulk when Hulk first snapped.
So you would assume that he has that same thought snapping.
That he's just
Yeah.
getting rid of Thanos.
But wouldn't it just break the? Don't they have to return everything to the moment that it happens? So wouldn't that break this the?
Okay, well that 2014 timeline's completely fucked because Thanos is gone from it anyway.
Yeah, but then Thanos disappears.
Right.
So
he's
now
not returning
Thanos
to
is
that.
dead. Nothing has changed because they killed future Thanos or present Thanos as well, which then became
Yeah, no.
future
So
Thanos.
their timeline's fine. I'm talking about the 2014 timeline. Regardless, that's going to be messed up because you just completely wiped out an entire army and a villain.
Oh yeah. So wait. So then how would they even? Wouldn't that change their reality currently? Because they said
It would change the 2014s. It wouldn't change the one they're in. Nothing they do in
because
the
it's an
nothing that happens
alternate
in the past-
timeline.
Yeah, nothing that happens in any of the past would actually affect.
Well, because that means that Gamora is a part of an alternate timeline.
Yes, but the thought is she stayed in 2024.
So I
Because
guess
if she's there for the snap, Captain doesn't just return her to the timeline, but so she's out there somewhere. No idea where.
yeah. So I guess I get the whole. Wait, I don't understand why she would just not be there then.
That's what we're saying. Because then the next scene, not the next scene, but one of the next scenes is
Him.
Thor
trying to
goes
find her.
onto the plane. Well,
Yeah.
Thor goes onto the plane, and he has the searching for.
Mm-hmm.
So either she did get snapped away, which I don't think she did, or B, somehow she got out of there fast enough.
But
Maybe Nebula knows where she is, but I have no idea.
I guess my question is what, or I should say, what I'm interested to see is why would she leave?
Right, same with me. No idea.
Although, because she's aware that Star-Lord is her lover.
She's
'Cause she
aware
says,
that
really
yeah,
him.
Yeah,
So Nebula told
Nebula.
her.
yeah.
Yeah,
But we'll
because
see.
she says a line "This is who I
Mm-hmm.
chose" or whatever,
Yeah.
or something like that. And then
He said, "Really, this is who I chose?" And she said, "Yeah, he's not the brightest."
I guess I just find it Chris Pratt, another one I'm really happy was introduced into this world.
Facts.
But I guess I'm just interested, like, the only person she knows in this, like, world or is friends with is Nebula, and Nebula
And
stuck
it's
around.
a different Nebula still, too. Right. So, I'm thinking... My thought is probably the fact that she told Nebula she doesn't want to, like... She doesn't want to be forced to, like, be with him.
Mm-hmm.
She's just going to try to, like... Maybe she tries to go salvage something somewhere. Or maybe she has a home planet. Like, maybe she goes back to her home planet. But... I don't know.
We'll no, her home planet is now like a paradise, isn't it?
Well, according to Thanos, but don't know if we can trust them.
That's true.
Anyway, so yeah, it'll be interesting to see. They have a lot of different ways to go about it. I do like how, even though they killed Loki and Gamora in Infinity War,
mm-hmm.
they still found a way to keep them around, but not just like, because like those were emotional deaths, and those like you were
mm-hmm.
like, oh my god, like they're not coming back. So they didn't come back, but they did in a different way, and it was extremely creative, and I like it.
So
like it was more than a cameo.
Yeah, way more
in
than that.
the movie.
Well, like you see Loki at first, and this didn't even hit me until after the movie either. Like it hit me, I was like, oh my god, that 2012 Loki got the Tesseract and left, so he's out there somewhere.
It's gotta be.
Well, yeah, he is. So, I'm sure his TV show will be about him in that timeline.
So he has his own TV show?
Yeah, it's coming out on Disney Plus.
Huge Disney Plus fans.
Mm-hmm. And then WandaVision, and then Winter Soldier and Falcon.
Interesting. So I just wanted to like say that I like Tony Stark. I think it was a great send off, but I think I liked Captain America's send off even better.
It was so much like it's what Captain.
I like both of them because they went out the exact way
you would
hope they would.
Yeah. But I also am just so happy for Chris Evans that now he's like out.
He's free.
Right.
Because
well, and like because they open timelines, people are always going to be waiting for a past version of Tony Stark to show up.
Yeah.
Which I guess that could happen with Chris Evans too. But the fact that he's old now,
yeah,
like
it kind of
you
takes
just
that
like
away.
you can, it's closure. Yeah, you're just like I like personally, I don't even want to see him again.
Yeah,
okay, it'd be cool. Like don't get me wrong, but like I would prefer if he didn't, just because of how well written it was.
Yeah, not like completely separate from like the fictional world. I'm really happy that Chris Evans is out of it because I think he's a brilliant actor and I want him to do other stuff. But the problem was like he literally had to be in Captain America shape for the past 11 years to do a cameo in Spider-Man where he like is in the gym. You know what I mean? Like,
well, luckily they shot that. That was also part of a post-credit scene. So he's done he did that.
No, I know, but like he's been under contract for so long.
He's had the burden where if they ever like when you sign that Marvel contract, you like it literally says like you can take other roles, but if we call you and we need you for a scene, you literally have to show up.
Yeah. And
or else you can get kicked out of that movie because of it.
Yeah, and it's for a lot of guys like Paul Rudd can do it because Paul Rudd doesn't have to change his physical appearance or something. And not saying that like Chris Evans will ever like not be buff.
Right.
But he can just take different type of roles now.
He can relax and eat a burger every now and then.
Yeah, like so I'm just happy for him. Same thing with Robert Downey Jr. I'm happy. I'm
really excited to see what other movies Robert Downey Jr. does now.
I agree.
Because like he saved his career 100%.
Yeah. Oh god, dude. I was watching
dude, if they had they had a movie with him and Chris Evans, just like any other movie, that'd be awesome.
That'd be dope.
I'd love it.
Literally, you put them in any other movie out.
Instant, like that's at least like $500 million in the box.
Oh, people are just going to watch that for the reason that it's them.
Right.
Too.
They have very good chemistry together, so I could see a lot.
They do.
People trying to poach them to get to it.
Well, that's the other thing is like we talk about how like great how great chemistry the whole cast really has. Like I'm interested to see like how many different.
New cast.
Well, first of all, the new cast, but second of all, like how many different movies will we start to see these set of actors in together?
Right.
Because
now Scarlett Johansson can go back to because like she was in so many like other movies, rather it be like small.
Yeah.
But now she has so much more time to like actually be an actress.
Yeah.
True.
So we'll see.
Dude, I love Jeremy Renner. I'm so happy that he was back. I love that man.
Ronan's such a sick character.
Just killing people for basically no reason.
Yep. I was like, dang.
We love that dude.
And because he doesn't always use his bow. Ronan's
sword wielding maniac.
Yeah.
Can we just take a second to like think about the brilliance of them going back in time, and Thor just brings Mjolnir back?
Yeah.
When he stuck his hand out, I was like, oh my god. Like, my mind was blown. I was like, that is so smart.
Yeah.
I just like that he stuck his hand out, and they were like, it's destroyed. Or like something someone said like that, and then his mom goes, just give it a sec.
Yeah.
And it just comes flying in, and you're like, my god.
Bro, after Tony died, Caleb, those people next to me, like, the girl was, like, weeping.
No.
Couldn't keep it together. Could not keep it together. I was like, and that was when they were talking to him, and I was like, dude, just wait till the funeral.
Dude. Oh, man.
I'm super, dude. I think this Spider-Man movie is gonna be really good. Yeah. I think this is gonna be like the bridge where this will answer a lot of the questions, and it'll focus a lot on like Tony being gone, and then I don't know if they'll have an end credit scene or not.
It was good to know that there wasn't an end credit scene. I'm happy that you told me that because I would have sat there for a dude same.
There was a little bit of there was like a send off though. They had the Marvel thing at the end like they always do, and then instead of normal music, they had the Iron Man banging his chest from Iron Man 1.
Oh, did we ever get an answer about what that like new Marvel like logo that was at the end of Infinity War?
What
new logo?
When Nick Fury drops the thing and he's sending the message and that logo comes
That's
across
Captain
the
Marvel.
screen. Is that
Captain Marvel?
Okay, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
I haven't seen Captain Marvel.
Oh well, I mean I knew that when.
Yeah,
I'm more of a fanboy than you, but like when that dropped, like the first time I saw Infinity War, like when that happened, I literally was shit Captain Marvel.
I'm gonna be honest, dude. Like Captain Marvel, like the movie was announced, and I had no idea that was a character. Like I knew like. Even before
I have no idea what any of
these
characters are, to be honest. I never read a comic book. I literally just like something comes out and I'm like, they got my money.
Yeah, I didn't. So I had no idea that logo was Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's on her chest. You can look it up.
Yeah, I believe you.
I mean, it's in you'll notice it in Infinity War too.
So like the whole thing about Thanos, right? Like. Wiping off like his idea about wiping off half the planet,
right?
Obviously, like it's
half the universe.
Half the universe. Excuse me. Like obviously, it's a it's a popular opinion, not pop. I shouldn't say popular opinion. It's like that's the kind of things that like start genocides and stuff. Like we've seen it in America. Like we've seen it in the world. I was like sitting there and like watching it, and I was like. I'm kind of scared because you could, like, I don't believe in it. I 100% do not believe.
That technically could incite that could influence someone's decision to attempt that.
Especially with the amount of stuff going on today about how, like, we're ruining our ecosystem and our world and, like, we're, like, literally people are telling us that we are diminishing the amount of years we have because of, like, what we're doing. So I was watching this and I was like, although I don't believe it, I could absolutely see somebody walk out of this movie and be like, that would solve our problems.
Well, if you take we're 7 billion people, you could wipe even 1 billion, and that probably adds to you.
Yeah.
Like
that adds a lot more time.
That adds way more time.
Exactly. And like I would never I don't believe in killing people, but somebody could walk out and say it, and if they have that mental state, they could truly believe that is what we should do. I was just thinking about that now, how realistic, like, his thought could be applied to Earth if you had the brain, like, the mental state of Thanos.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, like, if you look at, dictators and genocides and stuff, they did.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
Thankfully, we don't have that anymore, but, like, I was just thinking about it. I'm like, that's kind of spooky.
It's nuts. I have to pee real quick.
I don't understand the whole 12 years thing. Like, I agree that we're, like, ruining our planet, and we need to change it.
Okay, it's not 12 years till it ends. It's 12 years till it can't be changed.
Okay.
So like we have 12 years to like we have 12 years to have better habits and less plastic and more trees and cut down to the carbon deficiency.
Yeah.
Before it's like you can't do anything anymore.
Okay. Because the way like some people were describing it, one person being Little Dicky, is that it's 12 years until we're in like a post-apocalyptic state.
Which it probably won't be, but like I mean, in 12 years that technically could happen, but I mean
it could happen, but I feel like we would
extreme.
with the amount of attention it's getting right now, people would have to specifically ignore everything and I feel like ramp it up to get to that point in 12 years.
Right. My biggest problem with the whole, like, just all of it in general is people, like, just the people who discredit it. Like, I understand discrediting it for being skeptical. I do understand that.
Mm-hmm.
But there is no negative to being better at saving the earth. If we like, let's say the U.S. cut 20% carbon emissions and cleaned up plastic, even if we weren't in any serious trouble, that literally only benefits.
Yeah,
that only benefits the environment.
The only
maybe some companies lose some money because they have to spend more money on regulating like carbon and shit. But like that's worth it. In my mind, that's 100% worth it.
Well, okay, so here's I was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast and they were talking about ancient civilizations in the Amazon, right? People say that like the Amazon has never been inhabited and stuff, and there's proof to say that that's not true. And also talking about the pyramids and all of these things that we don't understand how they were built.
Right.
First of all, interesting fact that I did not realize. So I think it's like 7.7 million acres for the Amazon, right? Now, I agree we need to stop cutting down our Amazon. 100% could not 100%. Agree more. But there's 5 million. There's 5 million of the Amazon that has not been touched.
Yeah.
Secondly, if in like a large portion of that, which I did not know, there is like one of the biggest I can't think of most populated species of trees in the Amazon is a tree that does not naturally come from that environment, which means like scientists have then concluded that one of the biggest species in the Amazon were grown. They were planted by these civilizations.
True.
Because it's not a tree that naturally grows in that climate at some point. So, second of all, like we look at that, and that's incredible to me. Granted, it's over years and years, but like, I thought it was created that way, and now we're just destroying. But at one point, somebody built that up, and then the second part to the conversation was, I mean, that could be like animal pollination, but that's. To be the most, it could be 100%. But it's most likely. It could be. The only reason they think it's human is because they see a lot of those trees in areas that they've also found like remains of human civilization.
Right. Yeah.
So, but the other part was we always say that these civilizations from the past weren't as advanced as us, right?
Right.
Even though I kind of disagree. I think a lot of them, for their time, were more advanced. But
correct.
He said something interesting. He goes, what if, like, we always discredit their advancement, but what if they were more advanced? Which means they, like, were smarter. Like,
yeah, what if they were thinking ahead?
Yeah,
what if they figured something out, but you're like, oh, this, like, maybe they figured out that you could, you could use some sort of device like out of a tree, but they're like, but then the tree gives less animals homes, so we're not going to do that.
Well, exactly. Like they like were so advanced, and his sentence was, what if they were so advanced that that's the reason they didn't bother with plastic?
True.
You know what I mean? Like it. Gates, you're muted.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you're trying to talk. But they outweighed the like convenience to the overall benefit. And I think about my life, and people say, oh, they lived like animals, they lived like cavemen, like they always ate on the same plate, and they always like they drank from like these clay mugs and stuff, and oh, they're animals. But to be honest, like, you could give me one ceramic cup and I'll just wash it after every time I use it. Like,
Right.
It's all convenience. It's all people being so like...
Right. Like, if we, like... And it's funny how we always talk about, like, cutting down on our plastic use. Like, what if we just literally stopped using it altogether?
Yeah.
We would be forced to adapt, and it's not hard to adapt. It just really isn't.
Well, that's what...
Because then, like, at restaurants, right? Like, especially at a golf course, you have the glass cups are inside, and the plastic cups are outside. Why don't you just change that to glass cups inside, and then you get, like, a metal, like a thermos.
Yeah.
Just have a ton of thermoses.
Well, and
there you go.
That's the
and
thing.
Then if people get a refill, you refill it instead of getting them a new cup.
Yep. And and you do see kind of that advancement with straws now. They're trying to make it out of different products and stuff. Yeah. Right. No, but I was literally thinking about that. Like, I know that if, like, plastic was taken away, it would suck for me at first, but I could adapt.
Right.
And
I'd be willing to.
I'd be willing to. Now, granted, the whole car discussion is a little bit harder.
100%.
Oh god.
Just
for me, to me, that is something like that's not necessarily a personal problem. That is also a where you live problem. Because in England, a lot of the people I know from England don't own their own cars. They have mopeds, way better efficiency. Public transportation in almost every other like developed country is miles ahead of ours.
Dude, the public transportation everywhere but here is incredible.
Horrible. Thank God, like the light rails, like people are like, oh yes, the light rail is such a good idea, and I'm like, dude, everywhere's had England has the tube.
Yep.
New York's really the only like city in America that has good public transportation.
Well, it's also,
I mean, it's gross, but it's well used.
It's also just the way like the United States is like built. Our cities are just more spread out.
That too, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
we have a lot of space too.
We're colonizing more suburbs, which means you have to travel farther. Whereas
if only everyone was Steve Hansen.
Fair.
He takes the bus every day.
Yeah.
That's
my dad used to take the bus with him. That's so funny. Yeah, it's just like that's a convenience, but that's also like just the way we're expanding so much that you taking away plastic from me would have like I could adapt much more easily than if I were to like get a car taken away.
Right.
You know, because like there's
for me, I could still bike to work, but I would be way less likely to go out and do things.
Yeah, I would. Well, that's the thing is the economy first of all would drop.
100%.
In the way that we're shaped. Like I said, London. When I was gonna go over there and study abroad, they were like, I wouldn't like. We would ask like, oh well, we got to pay for transportation, this and that. They're like, don't worry about that.
No.
Even to get across Europe is cheap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
you can take a $50 train ticket from the furthest left of England all the way to like the middle of Germany.
Yeah. But also
and it takes 2.5 hours.
You talk to people so I have family down in Kansas and they had an Italian exchange student staying with them. And so they drove up to our cabin. So that's a 9-hour drive, right?
Wow.
And I mean, because it's 7 to Kansas and then 2 hours up north.
Yeah.
And so they drove it. They got up one morning and they drove it. And I've made the drive to Kansas a lot, 7 hours, and then on Sunday you drive back 7 hours. It's a 3-day trip.
Not fun.
It's not great, but you know you got to do it sometimes.
Family, right?
But
I take an 8-hour plane ride, so I know your pain.
Yeah, like, and so we were talking to this girl, and we're like, oh, like, you know, where could you get in 7 hours? She goes, we would never get in a car for 7 hours.
Never.
Like,
the only thing, like, my family, they rent a cabin, and it's kind of like a cabin. They rent a house in France every other summer. They drive, go across a ferry, and then drive more. It's like 15 hours in the car total, but they do a lot of camping, and it's more for the fact that they're bonding as a family rather than a drive. You don't drive straight.
Well, yeah, and I mean,
So.
And so we asked her, because you can get a lot of places in Italy in under 4 hours. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that huge of a country. And so we're like, what do you do? She goes, well, you take the train, first of all, if you want to go, because if you do drive, those cities are so small that you can barely get around.
Right.
And so, like, but second of all, they own less cars.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's, I don't know the stat about China, but I could assume that, especially in cities, people are owning less cars.
Yeah. Well, I even look at, like, I used to think Cuba was really cool, like, especially in, like, Fast Five. You see the cars they drive.
The fact that they're all still 50s cars?
They're classic cars. And you're like, want that car. But it's not that they, like, choose to just drive classic 50 cars.
Yeah.
They have no other cars to drive.
Yeah, they were so out of it.
Or they have no cars to, like, buy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's something they can't choose.
Yeah. I think another biggest problem here, at least, is that the alternate options are too expensive. You know what I mean? Like, would I rather drive an electric car? 10 times out of 10, if it's truly helping our environment, I would rather drive it. But I cannot get an electric car for the same price than I can get my 1999 Ford. You can't. And I understand the business side of that. You can't just be giving those things away for cheap, because then those businesses go out of business. But I think that that's something that we need to focus on, is we need to find cheaper alternate ways. I feel like most of our alternate ways are not cheaper nowadays.
And you also have, like I'm going to use myself. I don't want to take a bus. Sorry, I don't. First off, I don't like putting my hands in, or my life in other people's hands.
Sure.
I also just, like, I couldn't do what Steve does. I couldn't get on a bus and go take the bus home.
Yeah.
You first off, you're not in control. Like, if something emergency happens, like, and Steve's at work, he doesn't have a car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, he can't get anywhere. Like,
and you can Uber, but then that's just more costs.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, you're still driving a car, first off. And, like, at that point, you're, like, spending money for someone else to drive you when you could have just drove.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just not into, like, that. I would much rather just drive.
I can understand that. Like, and that I understand more than people, like, when I pitch the idea of just get rid of plastic and use the same cup. Like, you can just get up and wash it. You know what I mean? Or, like, it's not going to kill you to have, like, a slightly dirty cup instead of grabbing a second, like, plastic water bottle. When people are like, oh, no, that's gross, that does not hold up as much as, like you said, in an emergency. You like to be able to get somewhere.
I use cooking objects more than...
Oh, yeah, dude. Same. When I lived in California, I had a water bottle, and I had a plastic plate and a fork. That's because I didn't want to do dishes, because there were 4 of us living in that house. So I didn't want to, like, pile up my dishes. So I would just eat and then go wash my plate by hand after every time I used it, would dry it, and by the next time I went to go eat, it's clean.
Yeah.
That's actually, wow. That's an extremely good idea.
You know what I mean? Like, there was no need for me to have anything else.
Well, and then they'll be like, "Yo, can you do the dishes?" And you go, "I have a dish."
Dude,
so no.
I
did
that.
Yours.
I did that all the time. Like, that's my roommate would be like, "Hey, it's your turn for dishes," and I was like, "Dude, I cleaned my." Like, I had one bowl, one plate, one set of silverware, and my water bottle that I only drank out of. If I wanted to put something other than water in it, I would dump it out, clean it out, put that in. Like, it takes a minute. You know what I mean?
Really good idea.
Like,
that's also the thing. Like, oh my god, Fonda in their house is brutal, dude. Like, cause like, so Walsh and Gabe like to make a lot of food. So
sure.
Like, when Gabe makes a meal, he'll have 2 full chicken breasts in a pan.
Sure.
He'll have an entire tray of potatoes.
Mm-hmm.
He'll have rice going on a pop thing, and then he'll have like some sautéed veg going on a different pan.
Mm-hmm.
So he's using 4 pans. He'll probably use 2 plates.
Mm-hmm.
Uses a fork. Has a cup for drinking. And they just don't, like, he'll just put it in the sink or not even wash it and just leave it and then walk away.
Yeah.
So he used like 7 things and then they don't get washed and then the grease and fat build up. Oh, it's a mess.
The other thing, like, I have to go soon, so this is going to be my last thing on the topic. If you guys want to keep rolling, you can. But when people, like, so when I went to South Africa, and we went and we looked at the, I can't think of what the areas are called now. I'm blanking, and I'm very disappointed in myself.
Where is this at?
In South Africa. It's like it's like the refugee camps. They're not refugees,
Okay.
but they're like shanties, pretty much. They live in cargo boxes.
Right.
And
Not
it's
an ideal life.
not an ideal life at all. And you walk in and they have like a stove, and like I said, they have a couple like plates that they rinse and stuff. And there's like flies in their house, and it's very sad, like just absolutely depressing. They're like literally in front of us, they're chopping a pig's head off because they don't waste a single part of the pig. Like this whole thing. And so
like
you would
someone's biting into his ass cheek.
Yeah. And so you think that you would, like, I wholeheartedly went in and I was like, God, these people live terrible lives. And I sat there, and now the way I experienced it was, so we went to a church, and like everybody in this shanty, like, was townships, that's what they're called. Everyone in this township was at that church. And they walked out, and I got to talk to some of them, and they were like, they truly were such happy people deep down. And we asked our guide, like, are they truly happy? And he's like, yes, they're truly happy. They're with their families, this and that. And it's because they find happiness. It doesn't have to be religion for you. It can be in whatever you want it to be. But they still, in my eyes, live a happier life than I do sometimes, so minimalistically.
Yeah.
Because they're more grateful for what they have, and an actual object that's not what makes them happy. Like, and I'm not saying, like, I would rather get them out of shanty towns. I want them to all have houses. But they prove that you can live more minimalistically and still live a good life. And it shows that, like, people who say, like, no, like, I have to live like that, it comes down to it's a lot of it's self-centered people who don't want change. They're afraid of change because logistically we could make a lot of changes that wouldn't change your life that much. But they're just so set in their ways that they don't want anything to change.
Yeah.
And and in some ways, I like your whole thing with, like, not like putting your life in other people's hands. That is understandable. But I like, after listening to this Joe Rogan thing, I cannot get over the thought of, like, the amount of plastic that we could actually reduce. Not like just use, but just stop making it.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy how, like, blatantly businesses don't care. Whether it's small or big, like, they just continue to make it. Like,
yeah,
they don't care.
They don't.
And, like, I don't know, it's crazy.
And, like, I mean, a lot of it has to do with the consumers as well. Like,
right.
A lot has to do with consumers and how they bulk.
Yeah.
Like, you have to find a way to repackage every drink.
Mm-hmm.
Every drink is basically made out of plastic.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure milk is plastic things.
We knew cartons.
Used to be in glass.
Go back and do glass, but
or carton, yeah.
Or carton.
But some people drink, like, you need to figure out a bigger way to do it. Because, like, when I used to drink a ton of milk and eat cereal every day, and with my dad, we would finish a gallon in 2 days.
Yeah.
And so we would just pound through that
milk,
thing.
guys.
Huge.
Which
Big bones.
I'm lactose intolerant.
Off.
But then you run into problems like plastic's a cheaper source, but now that you need to use something else, it costs more.
Yeah.
And it all comes down to the fact that businesses want to make money, so they pay people less, so people are making less money.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you have to switch something as big as plastic, you're going to have problems.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, you need to then pay people more.
Yeah.
They can't afford certain things.
I mean, our restaurant told us, like, this whole straw epidemic, our restaurant told us, do not give people straws unless they ask for them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did that.
Really?
But I truly counted one weekend. And from a Friday to a Sunday, the ratio came out to 8 out of 10 people asked me for a straw.
Really?
So, like, and the amount of time that, like, I was then bringing them their drinks to then walk back and grab a straw to then bring it to them, especially when we were busy.
Annoying.
Well, it was busy. It was inefficient work.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
I mean, and like the thing is too, like someone could think of a solution. They're like, oh, why don't you just put it in like your bib or your pocket? And it's like, no one wants to watch me grab a straw that's been in my pocket. They have no idea what's been in my.
No. Like, the thing I learned as a server, my manager always taught me, he's like, do as much on the floor as you can, and then when you come off of the floor to, like, the back, you should have more than one thing that you're grabbing when you're back there. You shouldn't be going, go to a table, go grab their thing. Go to a table, go grab their thing. You have to be efficient.
Right.
And so, to do that, like, it was just making it more efficient. So, yes, I would rather not give everybody straws. But when it comes down to that many people, it was just, like, better for the business to actually just give it to them.
Right.
You know? So in that way, it was a lot of the consumer. Our business was trying to make it better.
I also think it's funny, too, how, like, I was thinking about it when someone asked me for a straw. I was like, okay. And I grab it, and, like, they're like, yeah, just throw it in my drink. So I, like, put it in my drink, and then, like, I realized, like, and I grabbed it in the midsection, and I'm just like, wow, my fingerprints were all over that. So, like.
I always think about that, dude. I actually don't like straws for that reason now. Is because I carry straws.
Yeah, now that I think about it, yeah.
Or like when people don't put a lime, or like when I don't put a lime on somebody's drink, they're like, "Can you bring me a lime?" And I'm just like holding a lime in my hand as I walk back to them. They're like,
"Yeah, I always try to grab like the peel, obviously, but then like I'll grab the peel because I don't want to touch. Yeah, no. And then some people will squeeze it and put it on the side, so that makes sense. Some people just drop it in there, and I'm like, all right. But I mean, I wash my hands a lot, so I understand.
I do too, but at the same time, like, I will wholeheartedly admit there was a time that I've reached into a pile of limes and touched a lot of them.
Yeah.
Having not washed my hands and like having just cleaned a table and maybe there was a little like sauce on my hand and I grabbed a lime because I was stressed. Like, it happens.
So there's our executive chef is about like he wants to pass all of his grades when there like becomes an inspection, so he wants you to do things right. So like very serious about it, and it makes sense. You should be. Mm-hmm. And so when I'm cutting a lime, he goes, "Can you wear gloves when you cut?" And I'm like, "Yeah." But then not like right now when I think about it, I'm like, well, okay, I'm wearing gloves when I cut them. But that doesn't like. But then when I'm done cutting them and have to put it on a drink, I don't have a glove on.
Yeah.
So A, I do that. B, like. It's just there's just so many like, and then be like people like other people will just be like, here, I'm gonna grab a line, and they'll just grab one and then put it on, and their finger now touched everything. Like it's just and then there's a rule where you can't put the inside of your finger on the inside of glass when you're bringing it to like get washed, and like I kind of understand it, but I'm like, all right, it's getting washed anyway.
Yeah.
If the wash isn't good enough for my finger being in it, then how is it gonna get rid of backwash of someone else's lips constantly touching the rim?
I'm gonna be honest. I finger grab so many glasses. If
I do,
if I can get 4 instead of 2, I'm gonna do it.
Right.
I think it also comes down to the fact of like you don't want like customers seeing you like.
Yeah. Well, and then and then Tanya's like you shouldn't do that when around. If they see it, they may think like all your glasses are dirty. And I'm sitting there. I was like, I understand where you're coming from, but you also have to realize that like. Someone sees me bringing back a water glass with my fingers in it, they like if they literally asked me about it, I'd be like, well, it's going through the wash right now. And if they said that's gross, and I'm like, okay, well, every single like when a dishwasher washes it and they're like let's say they dry it off because they need to reuse it, maybe their pinky finger grazes the side, and the exact same problem happens.
Yeah, it's not like I'm grabbing it to then go fill it with water and then bring it to that table that's looking.
I also hate when I pour a beer at a wedding. We have the plastic cups. So I can either grab it at the very bottom and hand it to them, and then like I shake a little bit so that it spills, or I grab it from the top, but then I'm grabbing where their lips will go. But usually they don't care because they're already drunk. So
that's fair. Alrighty, I have to go. If you guys want to keep, I don't know how you guys would do that.
We can wrap it up. I gotta grind this homework.
We definitely can't, because then it's just gonna keep going. Just gonna see.
Yeah,
that's true.
It's just gonna be your room
about that.
in the background.
Alrighty, well, Lap, we love having you on anytime. Hop in.
I hate being on.
I figured Gates.
Never coming back on.
It's we'll keep working. We'll keep working at this whole two
Discord
places thing, and we'll get it working. Maybe we can fix your mic a little bit.
And maybe next time, don't have guys completely destroying your bathroom. Thanks.
Facts.
But
But
it'd be cool if I sent you my Dova Ghost like thing, and then you could put like that could be the webcam. Like,
yeah, we'll do some work and we'll make it look nice. But
yeah.
Thank you
That's
everyone for tuning in.
I like the way you did it.
Whether you are watching on Twitch or on YouTube, we really appreciate it. Our personal accounts are right over here. Dova Palms, Dova Gaming, Dova Ghost. Those are our Twitch, our YouTubes, and these are our actual Twitters, but same names for all of them. Please go over there. We play a lot of video games. On YouTube, we vlog and just a lot of content, so please go check those out.
And my Instagram.
Oh, yes, he also has an Instagram at that name.
Don't follow his Instagram.
If
Not posting your
go through my Instagram to see my tag of his credit and then follow his Instagram.
Fact.
Which is LaPointster.
If you're watching this on Twitch and you want to see any of our previous podcasts, they're on Dova Entertainment on YouTube. Go ahead and go watch those. Give us a subscribe there. But either way, thank you guys so much for the support, and we will see you next time.
Peace out.